Welcome back to The Breakfast here on Plus TV Africa. Next conversation this morning is going to be on June 12 and of course celebrating Nigeria's Democracy Day. This morning we're going to be speaking with Dele Farotimi, of course to share his thoughts on as many angles as possible concerning the celebration and the planned protest. Good morning, Mr. Farotimi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Cesar.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So let's get straight into it. There's so many angles. I hope that we can cover all of them in the time that we have. Nigeria celebrates tomorrow. There's, of course, those who say there's absolutely nothing to celebrate. We're not, fully living in a democratic nation. And then there's those who, of course, would lean on to the MKO Abiola perspective and say at least one thing was done, that celebrates MKO Abiola tomorrow. So let's get your thoughts on celebrating tomorrow. Do you think that we will be celebrating and should be?
There was a phrase that popped out when you asked the question. Nigeria celebrates tomorrow. Nah, Nigeria is not celebrating tomorrow. We might mark the day for its symbolism. We should mark the day and honor it too because of the sacrifices of those who died, even though the ideals and ideas of that day has never found fruition in the Nigerian space. So yeah, we should honor the memories of all those people who were killed on Ikorodu Road in the run-up to Abacha's emergence, the exercise of the sovereign will of the Nigerian people on June 12, 1993, a day that has never been repeated in the history of Nigeria. Yeah, there is every reason why we should honor the day. But you see, what these predators ruling us right now are celebrating is not what those people who died in the lead up to what we're calling a democracy today. This wasn't what they died for. They didn't die to install governors who are functionally emirs. They didn't die so that we would inherit a constitution written by the same men who killed them. Because that's what it is. Where was Abdul Salami when people were dying in 93, 94? He was in his office enjoying the largesse of office. And he eventually succeeded to power, the same hegemony that had ruled all his life, for whom he worked. Midwifed, this one they are calling a democracy now is a democracy where an attorney general will wake up one morning and say he's banning this. The president will pick a petty fight over a tweet that shouldn't have been, and then everybody should fall in line. And it's a democracy. It's a democracy where they are reviewing a fraud, and if we talk, they are telling us that what we say do not matter, what they agree amongst themselves. But the key thing is this. We have every reason, because we must not forget, we lack institutional memories as a people. So it is important that the symbolism of the day is not lost on those who are alive today and witnessing the return to fascism. However, you did ask a second question, and that is as it relates to tomorrow's planned protests.
Yes.
You see, all my life, I have never done tokens. If I don't protest, for me are reactions. Because yeah, who are you protesting to actually? They're talking to a man who has demonstrated a murderous capacity for, look, the Nigerian state, the way it is structured, you go out on the street, the Nigerian policeman sees you as fair game. So I have never I've never called anyone out to any protest. Let me be clear about this. You do not dictate to the oppressed how we should respond to the oppression. And on account of that, I have always been careful not to be seen as speaking against the legitimate right of any man to protest injustice. And it is in that vein that I will say to those who wish to protest tomorrow, they should go right ahead. It's their democratic right. And if the Nigerian state has transmuted into a fascist dictatorship, which I believe is what it is, then it can go ahead again tomorrow and unveil itself as it has consistently done every time people have attempted to assert their democratic right. But I won't be out there tomorrow.
Okay.
I won't be out there. As far as that, sorry?
Mr. Farotimi, I need to ask you this question because you said tomorrow is not worth celebrating. You know, I've been speaking to a couple of people regarding the June 12th celebration and, you know, asking some student union leaders who led the movement against the military rule and, you know, supporting MKO Abiola back in 1993. And I asked the question, really, the struggle, you know, against military rule, the struggle for the reinstatement of MKO Abiola, was it all worth it? And he eventually ended up saying it was, you know, because even though democracy is not like we want it to be, you know, military rule is no more. But where do you come in regarding that question? Do you think all that struggle, all that activism was worth it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It was worth it. I was student union president in LASO, I believe that was 94, 95. And this is what I'll say to you. At least Buhari has to pretend that we are in a democracy. He has to pretend, whether he likes it or not. And it's not just Buhari. Our governors have to pretend we are in a democracy. The ones who rule here in Lagos have to pretend we are in a democracy. The ones who rule everywhere in Nigeria, it's not just Buhari. We fall into the consistent error of thinking that it's one man. It's not a man, it's a system. They all have to pretend we are in a democracy. And that is because of the sacrifices made by those who stood up, those who died, those who are in unmarked graves. Just like people ended up in unmarked graves after the 20th of October, several people were in unmarked graves and they still are till today, unacknowledged. The system did a good job of whitewashing the history. Somebody like Obasanjo came, he studiously refused to acknowledge the sacrifice of all these people. So yes, the sacrifices are worth it. That's why I can be speaking, knowing that even if they must carry me, they would have to find some charges before they can carry me. That's why I can be speaking, knowing that if they kill me, they would have to explain to people what happened. People die every day in Lagos. It's nothing new. But the fact is that those sacrifices, oh yes, they are worth it. And that is why I said these things are nuanced. We must separate the symbolism of the day from the hollow, vacuous nonsense that these feudal lords are going to be celebrating tomorrow.
Okay.
No, they are two different things.
So there's another symbolism I want us to break down here. You've talked about how you would not, you know, deny a man his right to express his feelings, you know, through protest. But I need to ask, tomorrow being Democracy Day and the day marked to celebrate MKO Abiola, do you think, or what kind of protest achieve?
See, every time a man asserts his right, what he is doing is that he is affirming that it belongs to him. In this state where we live, the Nigerian state has already, I don't know how we go about the business of calling what we are in a democracy. So when you still find people, let me be sincere, the day I make a call, it will not be for a protest. It will be for a national strike. Let's shut it all down and then sit down and talk. I don't do symbols. I don't do reactions. It will be a national strike, and we would all know exactly why we are sitting in our homes. There has to be a clear. It can't be that Lagos is shut down and Kaduna is moving. The people in Kaduna, are they enjoying life? The people in Kano, are their lives easy? The fact of the matter is that we have to get to the point where it is a national thing It is not just the Igbo man complaining in Imo. It's not just the Igongo people complaining. It's not just the people in Kankara complaining. It's not the people in Zamfara complaining. It's not the people in Ogoniland. Because the problems are general. It is open to every Nigerian. There is sufficient suffering. The only thing that has been democratized in Nigeria is suffering. Every Nigerian, except the ruling class, even if you are rich, you are suffering in this country. Even no matter how rich you are suffering. The people in Kankara, they are not Yorubas. Right. The people in Igogo are Yorubas, but how do you think the two correlate? It's the failure of the state, and it is failing because it has not delivered on its promises. All right. If the state is firmly established and equity and justice is common to all, then some of these problems will disappear. All right, but people are responding the only way they know how. I have said this severally. The Nigerian revolution will start in the northern part of Nigeria, but when you look closely, you find that it's already started. But it started wrongly. It's become religious. People are responding to the extremities of their sufferings. It's become religious. You see young Nigerians crossing the Sahara, crossing Mediterranean, and people think the revolution has won. They are voting with their feet. They are running away. Look, every democracy is demonstrative. You see clearly in the workings of the state, in its relationship with its people, whether that state is democratic or tyrannical. I have always believed that it didn't start with Buhari. Nigeria is a fascist state, constitutional fascism. Any state where the will of the people does not rule is a fascist state.
So are you saying, Mr. Farotimi, are you saying you disagree with people that say that Nigeria is far better under President Buhari's administration in terms of democracy?
Excuse me?
Some people think that. He has lots of supporters who think he's done very well for the country.
They think he has done very well for the country. They are mad.
Wow. Mr. Farotimi, could we kindly, exactly.
Pardon my language. They think he has done look, maybe you should go and ask the people of Kankara exactly what they think. Ask that headmaster in Niger State. Ask him what he thinks of Buhari's administration. Maybe you should travel down to Igogo and ask them. Go to the markets. Ask them what they think of the Buhari administration. Ask anyone, go across the country. Now, these things are matters of, it's pocketbook economy. Let me put it that way. I hate when we make it about Buhari, it comes out partisan. It's not Buhari, it is the Nigerian experience. But when you now particularize it to Buhari, I am 53 years old. I was old enough to remember. I'm old enough to remember Buhari at his first coming. And I'm old, I am the head of a home. I once ran a law office. I'm responsible to people. I know how much easier my life has been in the last 6 years. It's not a function of Buhari as a person, but he has worsened the bad situation.
All right, that's what I was just about to get into. Yeah, Mr. Farotimi, that's what I was about to get into now. You know, there's people, and I'll just quickly also throw this in, there's people who have pointed out the incident in France where Emmanuel Macron was assaulted, and you know, and compared that with what happened in Zaria in 2015 with the Shiites. You know, and of course many other cases in Nigeria where there have been extrajudicial killings and just, you know, complete abuse of power. But you know, I want you to speak on that. And then second, also, was there ever a time since 1999 that it felt like Nigeria truly had and experienced a democracy where people truly were the ones in charge of government, the citizens, the electorate? Was there ever a time compared to where we are today?
You've not been listening, brother. You've not been listening. If you'd been listening, you get this clear. It didn't start in 1999. is a lifelong predilection. I'm 53 years old. I was born during the war. I grew up during the military rule. And I saw the fraud both of 1979, by which time I was in secondary school, and I saw the perfection of that same fraud in 1999. I voted in 1993. I know as a fact that the will of the Nigerian people has never once mattered in my lifetime. The first time we tried it was 93. Our will has never mattered in my lifetime. That is one. Now, when you compare chalk and cheese, and you're talking about the Macronite slap, let me coin that phrase. A citizen might be stupid enough, break the law to slap his elected leader. That's a citizen. And then he'll be prosecuted under the law, just like he might have slapped you or me or any other person. There is no aggravation to his charges, except there be other circumstances unknown to us. He will be charged for having slapped a citizen. If, number one, let's be clear, there is no way in hell, pardon my French, that a Nigerian is going to have that level of access to a Nigerian head of state, because he is not a citizen in the first place. The head of state is not going to come anywhere near him to vent his anger. You want to try the number of Gudugudu and DSS and everything that is around the place to ensure that there is no such contact between you, a mere mortal, and a commissioner, a president in Nigeria. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I once attended the funeral of a friend's mom, whose brother was then a minister somewhere in Ekiti. I saw Jagbara guns. They were not escorting the head of state. They were escorting governors and ministers. Jagbara guns, that was what the DSS were carrying. How do you go anywhere near such a person to even administer a slap? That happens where citizens are and leaders lead. In a country where all you have are the rulers and the ruled, and there is a vast gulf between them, it's never going to happen. And so forget it. Number one, we are not citizens, and they are not leaders. So it's chalk and cheese. Our situations are completely different. You can't compare the two.
Okay, so when we look at the person of MK Abiola, he is revered across Nigeria and beyond. He's a man that would forever be spoken of in a positive light for all the philanthropic movements he did. Just everything he symbolized when it comes to nationality, how he unified the North, the South, and every other part of Nigeria across religious lines, across ethnic lines, and how Nigerians voted for him, in mass numbers, on that day, June 12, 1993. Many years later, it seems that the kind of leadership and politics we've been having, comes nowhere close. So what do you think that the leaders of Nigeria now and the leaders of tomorrow can learn from the person MKO Abiola?
There are several lessons embedded in the life and times of MKO. And pardon me, I'm going to take a little time on the question you asked, because it raises several disturbing issues for me. Moshood Kashimawo, I think Olawale Abiola came from very poor stock. But there was a system, as young as Nigeria was, I think at that time it was even mostly colonial Nigeria. There was a system in place that allowed upward mobility if you had sufficient brain power. So you could move. And he moved across the class lines, became rich, never forgot his roots. Because if you ever took time to listen to him, and I did, and I read up on him, you hear him consistently talking about his very highly disadvantaged background. Embedded in it, you would also hear the story of how he moved by dint of his hard work and his mental acuity. Now, the man's life shows that a functional society can shift people across lines, even though it wasn't exactly one created by the people based on their will. It was a colonial birth. It was the growth during the Western region days when there was scholarship and everything. I don't come from very rich stock myself. Well, unfortunately, I'm not anywhere near as rich as Baba. May God rest his soul. So I can understand and relate to the story. I wish I was anywhere near as rich. I would love to help people as well. But you see, that also shows you the poverty of private wealth. Everything Chivenke Abiola did in his lifetime, he did by sheer dint of his own capacities. He did his best. He even lived his life as an example, especially when it came to standing by the mandate of June 12. But what has happened? All of that by one man. The man died and it ceased. It shows you the importance of building a system, a human system that understands that there would always be the weak in need of protection by the strong. And the strongest protector that endures beyond all of our lives is the state. So if we have a state that is equitable, the ideals that the man lived for would be the ideals by which we would all be governed and led. But that is hardly the case today. Those who were poor yesterday got into government today. They are billionaires. They're flying jets up and down the place. Abiola had his jets before he went into politics. What were these ones doing before they ever became anything? So how can they construct a state that is based on ensuring that the mass of the people are lifted out of poverty and allowed the capacity to move across the class lines? We've created a feudal state in place of an egalitarian state. And that wasn't what the man's life was about. I hope I answered you.
Yeah, well,
Yes, you did.
let's
Thank
talk
you.
about, hopes that we can still fix this.
I'm sorry?
Let's talk about the hopes that we can still fix what we have as our democracy. There's been mention of constitutional review and some of all of that. Where would you suggest that should be our first points of contact if we still want to salvage our situation?
Let me say this to you. It is critical that Nigerians begin to speak to themselves across the several divides that our rulers and even we have stupidly created for ourselves. There is hope. We're a blessed people. I had occasion to address this same issue a couple of days ago. We're blessed people. Nigeria, we're seriously blessed. The tragedy is that we have been horribly misled. We've been led by people whose sole preoccupation would appear to be their appetites, what to eat, what to drink, who to sleep with. They are not anchored to higher ideals and goals. So they've perverted the Nigerian people, but there is hope. That hope only comes from us talking to ourselves, identifying a common purpose behind which we would all have to fall behind. We're in dire times. We have two options before us. One is hopeless, the other is hopeful. Speak to ourselves, find our unity, even in our diversities, and then create a new Nigeria for ourselves, not that fraud that they are lying to themselves that they are calling a review. Whose interest will that serve? Their own interest. The same system will continue to perpetuate itself. The poor will continue to get poorer. The rich will continue to get rich. And you know what else? They'll continue to take away more and more of our rights. We're on the road to Pyongyang if we follow this road that we are on.
Yeah, but Mr. Farotimi, if the persons that you've described, the characters you've described, the system, and those people who run that system, if they don't let go of that system, do you think Nigerians will be able to free themselves from, the situation that you've described?
Oh, we will. we will.
And not necessarily in seeking secession or
No,
violence.
Secession is, look, let me address that issue once again. I've tried my best to deal with this matter. Secession is a distraction. The powers that be, the beneficiaries of this current system, enjoy it when we speak secession and act secession, because it then gives them the occasion to legitimize their venal brutality. They will kill with impunity. They will turn the force of the state, the same force of the state that has been absent in checking the bandits, the terrorists going up and down the place, stigmatizing the entire Fulani nation. Those same forces that has been restrained against those ones will be unleashed. I have never heard of a place where civilians are being bombed, only in Nigeria. And against what? People who are asking to go because you've pushed them to extremes. Let me be clear. Secession is a distraction. But I say this with all emphasis, and I say it knowing that by the grace of God, I'm not one of those that will now be praying when they should act. We will act when we will act. But we will act clearly understanding that it's not about secession. Nigerians have to find common cause. The suffering is democratized. There is no part of Nigeria that is working. Why should it then be so difficult for all of us to see clearly that we are commonly afflicted and we should then look for common solutions?
So far to me, last question from me. What will that common solution be and when will it be implemented?
The revolution will not be televised. It doesn't happen. But here is what I can tell you. Nigerians are speaking to themselves across channels. When the time comes, we would all present a joint demand and we'll put it on the table for all Nigerians to understand clearly. No violence. Who are we going to be fighting? If we start anything, it will be ourselves. Nobody will even leave their house by the time, even you, by the time you understand the issues. We're talking about our generations. Are we all going to become refugees?
Exactly what I needed to emphasize that, Mr. Farotimi, that your call for revolution is non-violent and that we're preaching peace here.
No. Violence, okay. I don't own a catapult. And you see, when people talk about revolution, I think it's necessary that I clear this up. There has always been, and it's the military, the Buhari, Babangida, Obasanjo class, they gave the word revolution a bad name. What is revolution? It comes from the Greek word, revolve. What does it mean? It means to turn around. Turn around. We are already heading towards the cliff. A revolution means turn around. Anything that takes us away from that cliff edge is a revolution. And what is the revolution we are proposing? A complete change to our governance system. We have presented the constitution, a draft constitution, to the review committees that they set up. We know they dustbined it immediately, but it was never meant for them. It's meant for the Nigerian people. We will take it to the Nigerian people over the coming days, weeks, and months. And when people have sufficiently understood what we're asking of them, we put it to the test.
Okay.
There will be a national strike called. It's not but I don't own a catapult. I'm not looking for anybody to step onto any street. NLC has lost the capacity to cause strikes. And what is the population of civil servants? We will call a national strike. People will stay in their homes. This will not be safe for nobody is coming out to any street to come and throw any stone. Who are we going to be fighting? Is the policeman enjoying his life? Are soldiers enjoying their lives? Who is enjoying Nigeria? If you are enjoying Nigeria, you can come out and join them. But those of us who are not enjoying Nigeria, you see, if we say this is, okay, you are calling strike, on what? We will take our time. We will educate our people. And let me tell you something. What they will do tomorrow to those peaceful protesters, it will validate what we are saying, because every avenue for peaceful protest, expression of democratic rights, have been shut down by this system. So it's either we are going to fold our hand and accept slavery, or we are going to find some innovative way of engaging this system to let this system understand clearly that it is not only is it not working for us, it is constraining our children's future. So everybody would have to decide whether they are happy with where we are living or whether they seek a change. If we seek a change and we don't want guns, we don't want violence, then we must be able to place alternative ideas on the table that the people might buy into.
Okay.
Let's put our ideas on the table and allow the Nigerian people the opportunity to decide whether it makes sense or not.
Okay,
Right.
so
Nobody's
glad to know
calling for
that.
violence.
Thank you. Glad to know that the revolution you're calling for is a turnaround in government and, of course, an exchange of ideas. Thank you very much, Mr. Dele Farotimi, for joining us on the breakfast this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I was going to say Happy Democracy Day.
Yes, happy Democracy Day. June 12 is tomorrow. Also, my mom's birthday. Shout out to her.
Happy birthday to your mom.
Thank you.
Where was she during the elections in '93?
I would have to.
Did she vote
I would have to
on her
ask.
birthday?
I would have to ask.
We need to go. Thanks a lot for joining us all through the week. It's been a very, very interesting one with different issues brought to the front burner. And we hope that you enjoyed the conversations that we've had all through this week. We'll be back here on Monday morning. If you missed out on any of the conversations, you know what to do. It's on our social media accounts at Plus TV Africa on Facebook and Instagram. Same with our YouTube channel. I am Osaogie Ogbawan.
And I am Annetta Felix. Have a great weekend. Stay peaceful, stay safe, and happy Democracy Day.